The builders of the world's oldest known temple had a surprising understanding of geometry. A sprawling structure regarded as the world's oldest known temple was designed with an understanding of geometric principles somewhat unusual for hunter-gatherer cultures thought to have built it, researchers say. And as we see it, it looks a lot like the stone circles of the United Kingdom, what we saw around Stonehenge, for example. Now, this is an area of today's Turkey, Gobekli Tepe. It's viewed as the earliest place of worship ever discovered, as a vast Neolithic complex dating over 11,000 years old, but modern humans only stumbled on this giant relic in the recent past, only in the 1990s, predating other megalithic marvels like the pyramids of Egypt and Stonehenge, both by several thousand years. Gobekli Tepe has been studied intensively ever since it was found, researchers seeking to learn what the site can tell us about the long-vanished culture who built this. And despite the incredible age of the structure, a new analysis suggests that the architects who envisioned the layout of Gobekli Tepe's mysterious pillars and enclosures were far from experienced in planning out geometric structures than we realized. They were far more experienced. Gobekli Tepe is an architectural wonder. This is what archaeologist Avi Gopher from University of Tel Aviv says. Since there is no evidence of farming or animal domestication at the time, the site is believed to have been built by hunter-gatherers, but its architectural complexity is highly unusual for them. According to the researchers who used a spatial algorithm to measure and analyze the architectural form of Gobekli Tepe's layout, the complex is not made up of separate, unrelated structures, but by linked enclosures and pillars that were designed together according to a single plan, and which might have been constructed at the same time, in contrast with previous thinking. And it's remarkable that center points of three of Gobekli Tepe's most significant spaces, known as enclosures B, C, and D, appear to be tied together geometrically, based around the underlying pattern of an almost perfectly formed equilateral triangle, a shape that might also suggest a hierarchical relationship and ordering between the enclosures, according to what the researchers suggest. Archaeologist and co-author of the study, Gil Haklay, told Hart's newspaper, "I certainly did not expect to find this. The enclosures all have different sizes and shapes, so the odds that these center points would form an equilateral triangle by chance are very low. Such a level of pre-planning, especially thousands of years before the accepted advent of writing, would have necessitated the use and counting of other kinds of markers, such as reeds laid out on the ground to sketch out a makeshift plan." This is what researchers suggested. And the findings could also mean that the amount of muscle needed to realize these ambitious structures could have been much greater than we know. The authors say the level of organization and manpower required for the construction of the megalithic architecture of Gobekli Tepe should be multiplied by 3, compared to previous estimations if our suggestion is simply accepted, since the potential size of a single project of Gobekli Tepe comprised 3 enclosures in the case presented here. Of course, it's also possible that these complex geometric blueprints may have simply been built over long time frames, even centuries, the researchers allow, which could make the scale-up in labor less pressing. As it stands, only a fraction, perhaps as little as 5% of Gobekli Tepe, has so far been excavated, and many more enclosures and other kinds of structures are laying in wait beneath the Turkish soil in this area. And no matter what long-forgotten secrets those chambers can tell us, it's clear, the researchers think, that this spatial site reflects a monumental turning point in human history, not just in architectural ability either, but also in the evolution of society that could and would engineer such fantastic things while letting our former simpler and perhaps fairer ways fade from view. Gopher said, "This is where it starts. The sharing instinct of hunter-gatherer societies is reduced, inequality is growing. Someone is running the show. I don't know if it's shamans or political leaders, but this is a society that has an architect and somebody who initiates a project like this and has the power to make it happen. And the findings were reported in Cambridge Archaeological Journal. This is on Science Alert by Peter Dockrell. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.